Do not listen to this episode with your kids.
Don't do it.
You've been warned. Spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1.
Santa ain't real, y'all. But don't tell my mom, because if you don't believe, you don't receive.
Yeah, he's not like Hanukkah Harry, right?
Oh, babe, Hanukkah Harry's not real either.
What?
If only parenting were as smooth as bourbon. I'm Lene.
And I'm Jordan.
And this is Bourbon and Babies podcast.
Straight up parenting on the rocks.
All right, happy holidays, guys. Here we are. We are at episode
15.
This is the last episode of season 1.
So sad.
Don't be too sad. We're coming back. We are going on a vacation, a much needed vacation, and we hope all of you guys are getting some nice downtime as well.
Nice. And of course, as always, we need to start with our bourbon. And this week, being that it's our holiday episode, we thought, what is a more suiting holiday drink than eggnog? And I discovered that Evan Williams has a pre-made delicious eggnog that you just chill and serve. You can put over ice if you don't want to wait to chill it. And it's creamy. It's delicious. Got a little bit of nutmeg, cinnamon, spice to it.
I love it, but don't drink too much of it, because I can't imagine this would be good.
For revenge?
Yeah, we don't want this one coming back for revenge.
No, absolutely not.
So, yeah, it's the holidays, and it's also winter, and Jordan has the funks.
What is it that Phoebe Buffay says? My sexy phlegm?
His sexy phlegm. Jordan is here with us today with his sexy phlegm.
I'll be giving you my rendition of Smelly Cat later. So, we're getting into the holidays, and holidays are traditions, it's memories, it's family time.
So many memories. What do you remember the most?
I was lucky, because I got all the fun holidays with presents. I had Hanukkah, I had Christmas, we even did Easter, but we would light our candles every night. We would get a present every night. Sometimes even had potato latkes. But when it came to Christmas, my brothers and I always went to my grandparents' house, and we celebrate Christmas with them, because my grandpa Henry was Catholic, and he had the tree and the stockings, and every Christmas Eve we'd have those butter cookies that came in that big blue tin. And
I love those. And where do you find those?
I don't know, but they're delicious and buttery and crispy. But they would always give us champagne as well.
What? Your family's cooler than mine.
Yeah, we'd have champagne and butter cookies, and they definitely did not want us leaving the bedroom to peep on them. I actually remember one night they set up one of those giant blow-up Godzillas right outside the room. So if we happened to stumble out of the room in the middle of the night, that's what we'd encounter.
You'd wet your pants?
Well, yeah.
You'd wet your Hanukkah PJs?
I think actually... No, I'm not going to go there. But I do remember in the morning waking up and opening the door and being scared shitless by this giant dinosaur right in front of my face. I also have this weird memory of my grandpa's pants falling down when he's trying...
That's a different episode.
Anyway, I think it was hanging mistletoe or something. But
that's like adding a whole other layer of what is happening here.
Oh, God. I just got a horrible image in my head. But regardless, I was lucky because I had both holidays to celebrate. It was always a very festive time of the year. Always lucky. A lot of fun. How about you, Lene? How were your holiday experiences?
You know, I think the things I remember the most are coming into the living room on Christmas morning and always seeing the Santa wrapping paper. Santa always had a very specific wrapping paper.
He had his own, right?
He did, and it was only used on gifts from Santa. And so it was sort of that exciting, fun... You knew automatically which ones were from Santa, and I don't know why that just stuck in my memory.
He must buy it in bulk.
I guess so. I always remember looking at the cookie plate. It was like I had to see the cookie plate. I had to see if there were crumbs there, how much of the cookie he ate, if he ate any of it, if he left them. We also would occasionally put out carrots for the reindeer, of course, because, we love our animals.
We want them to stay healthy, yes.
And then the other things that really stick in my mind about Christmas morning was the video camera always being set up. I just remember my stepdad always coming out with it, putting it on the tripod, hitting start. And I always remember looking around thinking, none of us are camera ready for this.
We're so much different now. I mean, obviously we still, record stuff, but we just pull out our smartphones.
Right.
And
Which is still awful. I kind of love that it was on a tripod because then at least we weren't interacting with it. Now it feels different. But the last part of my Christmas memory, I have to admit, is I remember riding in the car a lot because I am a child of divorced parents. And so it was like you had to go visit these grandparents and those grandparents and this side of the family and that side of the family. And
Let's face it. I mean, every time we go to visit your family, it's still like that because we're going
it's still
everywhere.
Like that. Yeah. And I think they are pretty representative of Americans across like spectrum, right? I mean, and as for the Hanukkah thing, we do both. Our kids experience both Hanukkah and Christmas.
For sure.
But other countries have their own traditions. In fact, here is a lovely one that ties directly to Kentucky. You won't believe this. In Japan, in 1974, KFC did this promotion to come have a traditional American holiday meal. And now, I shit you not, to this day, 40-something years later, in Japan, on December 25th, they are still going out and eating KFC. In fact, if you are in Japan, you have to order months in advance to make sure that you get your KFC meal.
That's crazy.
Right. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
So what about when you're really bad?
Yeah.
I know here you're bad. You get a lump of coal in your stocking.
Right.
Right?
What happens at Hanukkah if you're bad?
You get burned by the flames? I have no idea.
What do you mean? There's the flames of hell? Because
no, we don't believe in hell. No, it's just it's like Jack Be Nimble. You try to jump over the menorah and you burn your schlong. I don't know.
What? No, really. What? Was there anything that was held over your head?
Jews. It's interesting because Jewish guilt is a very real thing, especially for mothers. Mama guilt, but. There's not that thing being held over your head if you're not good, Santa's not going to come visit. It's it's Hanukkah. Hopefully you repented for your sins at Yom Kippur and you're forgiven and now here are your presents.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's good to be a Jew.
It's good to be a Jew.
But I was a really good kid too. I never really had to worry about that.
You are. You're still a good kid.
Oh, thanks, baby.
Well, listen, in Iceland, instead of getting coal, they have the Yule cat. Have you heard of this?
The Yule cat? No.
Okay, so it comes from folklore tradition, and it's this giant, terrifying cat that eats people who don't have new clothes before Christmas Eve.
Wait, that's not fair. Socioeconomically.
Well, it's interesting you say that. The reason this tradition started is because the farmers were trying to put pressure on the workers to finish with the production of the autumn wool. So when Christmas Eve rolls around, if you didn't pitch in, you don't have new clothes.
You get eaten by a giant fucking cat.
So they had to wrap up production of the wool because you were coming into the winter solstice. Okay. So winter solstice is supposed to be a quiet time. It's when it's cold outside. So we all
take our cat naps. Yeah.
And we take our cat naps.
Yep. Okay.
We're supposed to go inside and we're supposed to go inside of ourselves and spend more time reflecting. And we're supposed to cuddle a lot in front of warm fires on our bearskin rugs and all of that.
And
but instead,
roll around like Burt Reynolds in a manwich. Okay.
But instead, we do the opposite. In America, we spend a shitload of time
and money
jumping around from crazy holiday party to crazy holiday party. And we give ourselves even more things to worry about with this, the fucking elf on a shelf.
Yeah. I feel like this has become huge and it's pretty new, right? It's only been around for a few years.
It started in 2005.
2005. So it's 13 years.
Wow. Thank God. I bet my parents are so grateful that it was after their time.
Yeah, but these crazy motherfuckers who are, wrapping their toilets and sinks with wrapping paper and posing elves on the roof. I mean, who has time to do all this stuff?
I don't. That's why we do the Mensch on a Bench.
Yeah.
So the Mensch on a Bench is like the Jewish version of the elf on a shelf.
He's the do-gooder that looks over the menorah candles.
Right. But here's the best part. And here's why we did it. Because Hanukkah's only 8 nights. Mm-hmm. And that fucking elf has to be around for 30.
December, he shows up after Thanksgiving. Just sticks around.
We stick with our Mensch. He shows up for 8 nights. And he moves around too, but we don't get crazy. In fact, this year, we read the book to our daughter. And in the book, it says, you should just move him around. So we kind of eliminated the magic of it this year.
I mean, they say he's filled with magic. right?
but-
And we didn't really read it the first few years, and we kind of went by the elf rules, like, oh, you can't touch him.
Right.
And he's just going to move magically.
But now that she can read, when she reads the book, it says in there very clearly that you're supposed to move him around. So it was already like we were getting ourselves caught in the lie, and it just felt easier to go ahead and be like, yeah, move him, do whatever you want with him. We did move him around a few times, and she did get a kick out of it, but I think
He
she
had a
probably
good time with
gets it.
some bourbon this year. He created a bourbon menorah, if you haven't seen that on our Facebook page.
But you know, the hardest part about the Mensch and the elf is always remembering where you left it, where you hid it from yourself and your kids. A friend of
I
ours,
never remembered.
I thought this was brilliant. She stores her in the special bedside table that
with
we
the
all
toys.
have, with the toys. She says she figures if they find the elf, they're also going to find some other, perhaps more interesting and questionable items that would, mix it up a little bit.
It's a massager.
Right.
A special massager.
The elf was just having a really good night.
He's into that kind of thing. Our daughter gets completely freaked out by the fact that there's this Mensch that just shows up, and she knows the day it's supposed to come, and she's so excited, and she's like, I wonder if he's going to be here. But then she's like, all right, open up the door and check in my room because I don't want to go in there.
The whole fun of it is supposed to be her finding him, but she won't go anywhere without us because I think she's a little freaked out by this creature living on our house that can supposedly move.
He's not a creature, he's a Mensch, a do-gooder.
Whatever. He's little, he's tiny. He's like clearly not human. I don't know. And I think other people's kids probably feel the same way about that elf.
Yeah.
I would.
Who's there judging you all the time?
Right.
Who's like, is this kid being good? Is he not? I'm going to report back to Santa.
Like Santa wasn't enough?
No, our friend who shamed their child in
Oh
front
my
of their
God,
elf.
right. Our friend Bridget used the elf to totally shame her son. He was having a hard time potty training, and so he had an accident, and she changed his poopy pants in front of the elf. And he was super embarrassed. Mortified. And he kept his act together. So far, so good. So, hey, I mean, it sounds like using the elf for behavior management could be a win.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, a lot of people do it with Santa. I definitely remember being told, if you're not good, Santa won't come, It's kind of like the Cole thing, only it's Santa's watching. Well, now it's the elf watching. Sometimes you take it too far, though.
Yeah.
Some parents get pretty smart about it, all right? They program each other's numbers in their cell phones so that they can text and call when the kids are being bad, and it will show up as Santa Claus on the phone.
It's genius.
Right, so the kid's being bad, you text me, we put it in front of the kid and go, Santa's checking in. Should I tell him that you're being a little shit? And the kid immediately gets their act together.
Yeah, hopefully they can read and they're not like, Satan.
Satan is
why is Satan calling you? Oh my gosh, this is scary. Things just took a turn for the worst.
You know what? I feel like some kids would be just as scared of Santa Claus as they would Satan.
The Krampus.
So anyway, they have it figured out. Well, it took a turn for the worse. One night, the kids had been at an event earlier and they had face paint on, and the mom was trying to get them to take the face paint off and let her cut their toenails. So she calls dad and she says, they're not cooperating. Call and pretend to be Santa. So he calls and pretends to be Santa, and the daughter is crying and she's going, Santa, why do you not like face paint? What do you have against face paint? And he's totally stunned. I don't know. He gets off the phone quickly. That night, while going to bed, she looks at mom and says, is Santa going to come in the house in the middle of the night and clip my toenails? She wore socks every night until after Christmas because she was so afraid that this fat man was going to show up in her house and clip her toenails.
Have you heard the 6 to 8 black men in Holland?
Yes, and it's brilliant.
So there is in Holland, Santa is believed to have been the former Bishop of Turkey, and he goes around with 6 to 8 black men who have a few things that they do. One is originally they would beat you up if you weren't behaving well, and they'd throw you in a sack and take you away. But then, as times changed, they no longer would do that because it's a little too frightening for children. Instead, they would just pretend to beat you up. and if you were good, you'd put your shoes, your clogs, and they'd fill them with little gifts. David Sedaris does a version of this. It's a whole chapter in one of his books. I think it's Dress Your Family Up in Corduroy and Denim But you could go on YouTube. We'll put a link to it.
Oh my God. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's a Christmas tradition for us to sit and listen to this chapter. It is so damn funny. We could never do it justice for how funny he is. So what do we do? Like, what's the solution to all of this madness around the elf and,
Don't fucking buy one.
Well, there's that, obviously. So, okay, let's say you have one, though. All right? And you've realized it's gotten crazy. How do you get rid of it?
I don't know. Maybe he retires.
Yes, I love that. Make him retire. Make him write a whole note, a retirement note.
You kids are too much for me. I give up. Peace out.
Right.
Your elf.
I'm disappointed in you.
You kids suck.
This will free you up to spend more time stressing about some of the other things that we stress about at the holidays, like
presents.
Ugh. I don't know about you, but every year my mom would say, kids, I don't want you to get too excited. This year is going to be smaller. It's not going to be as big as it was last year. And every year it was just as big.
She's setting the expectations low so that you're impressed.
And we would always go, you guys, you said it would be smaller and it was amazing. And my sister would be in the corner counting everyone's presents, making sure everyone got the same amount of gifts.
But last year I got 13 presents. This year I only got 12.
Well, we'll take you out, Dudley, and help you pick out another one later today.
And be even bigger and better than the last one.
Harry Potter reference for those of you that aren't total nerds.
If you didn't get that, you don't deserve to listen to this.
I feel like we should institute a new holiday tradition and purge at the beginning of December.
That's brilliant.
So that we can make room for the other garbage that we're now going to have.
Well, not only that, then our daughter and son, when he's old enough to actually understand what's happening, will see how much stuff they have.
Right.
Have them, be a little bit more cognizant of what they're getting.
So, all right. Here is what we found out about the problem with getting tons of gifts, aside from the fact that we already have enough and our house is too small.
Yeah.
One, research shows that giving kids an insane amount of presents, it increases destructive behavior.
Destructive behavior. Is that because they have too much stuff, so everything seems, dispensable?
I mean, that does make sense, but it wasn't talking about that. Really what it was talking about was the fact that when you get stuff, you get this burst of happiness, right? You get that moment of, oh, this is so cool, but it doesn't have any staying power. So then they're left wanting more. Mm-hmm. And then they feel angry about the fact that they don't have more. They feel frustrated by wanting that next blast of happiness, wanting that next brain dump of drugs, right? I mean,
I could compare that to when I have a big bag of candy. If I've gone to the bulk section, I got this big thing of gummy bears. And it's man, there's so many of them. I'm just tearing through them. I'm having that dopamine rush of just, gummy bears, gummy bears. And I'm not really appreciating any of those gummy bears because there's so many of them. Right. Versus when I'm actually conscious and just maybe take one small scoop just to get that taste. And I really appreciate them because I only have a few of them.
Exactly. Yeah. They also say that getting too many presents affects your self-esteem because you associate gifts with love. And that affects your sense of worthiness. Your sense of worthiness needs to be associated with identity, not with materialism.
Yeah.
So stop fucking up your kids by buying them too many presents.
Yeah. Just make them love you, not the shit you buy them.
So here is what we have heard some people do. And I love this, that Santa only brings one gift or brings one group gift. Like
a family present.
Yeah. And you know what I love about that is one of the things I think in my heart of hearts annoys me about Santa is Santa gets credit for bringing the awesome gift. That seems like bullshit to me.
Right. I want the credit.
I also love this concept of only getting 3 gifts. You get one thing you need, one thing you really want, and an experience with the family.
And that's what we've been talking about for a while. I mean, we always try to give presents that are experiences. Yeah. Something that we could all share. A moment, a show, a vacation. But I love that idea of, it's something that you need, something you want, and an experience. And maybe the want present could be the Santa present. Yeah. And something you need. I mean, everyone needs underwear and socks every year.
Right. Or the experience could be from Santa, because if the experience is from Santa, you're still experiencing it with your family. So your memory is associated with the family and not necessarily Santa.
Right. You and the family can experience making underwear and socks. Right. Together. And then you've covered 2 presents in one.
And you don't have to worry about getting eaten by the Yule cat.
Right. Because you've spun enough wool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's part of the problem with the presents thing, though, is I don't know about you, but I remember being on the bus the first day back after holiday break and all of the kids being like, what did Santa bring you? And you're like, Santa brought me this, this, and this. And they're like, well, Santa brought me this, 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 and this. And I'm like, well, shit, why did Santa bring you more than Santa brought me? And so Santa only brings your kid one present. Now they're keeping up with the Joneses and they're losing.
Yeah, but it's all about the expectation, too. I mean, yes, if you're used to every year getting the 3 presents, maybe that first year it's disappointing. But after that, it's just, well, I know that I'm getting 3 things. And because that's where your expectation is, you really appreciate those 3 things. It's not just about how big is my pile versus your pile of presents.
And when your kids come home and they say, my friend's got blank number of presents.
Say, well, your friend is an asshole.
Or you can say, Santa gave your friends more presents because his parents love him less.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Because his parents love him less. So Santa had to make up for it. He felt bad for his shitty living situation.
Yeah. That's so fucked up.
It is. It's really fucked up. Yeah, and when people are asked, what is your fondest memories of the holidays? How many people say, oh, it was when I got that one present that I was really wanting?
Exactly. I asked you earlier what your memories were. None of them had to do with the present.
Unless you're Ralphie, who really wanted that freaking gun.
Shoot your eye out.
Yeah, and he shot his eye out anyway. But unless you're him, it's about, the time you spend with family, making cookies and delivering them to neighbors.
That's what they're going to remember.
Christmas caroling, eating an amazing meal with everyone who came from all over the country to see you. Those are the moments that you remember, not how many presents or what the presents were.
And the presents can get crazy. And you said a minute ago, kids dream big. Kids also dream weird.
Yeah.
So we made a rookie mistake last year.
Yeah.
All right, parents, listen up. Do not do what we did. We took our daughter to see Santa on
day
Christmas
before
Eve.
Christmas.
So stupid.
Idiots.
So stupid.
What the hell were we thinking?
So you know why this was stupid, right? Because if she asked for something that we didn't get her, we're screwed. Well, she had been telling us what she wanted over and over and over. Every time we said, what are you going to ask Santa for? She always said the same thing.
Yeah, it was like this little frozen sleigh or something. I don't know.
She got fucking weird on Santa's lap.
Yeah, she says, Santa, I want a penguin that's filled with cookies whose head opens up and has candy inside. What do you do with that?
What is that?
What the hell do you do with that?
Like, she clearly just wanted the elves to make something very unique and special for her.
I mean, great imagination.
Great.
That was awesome. Way to be original. But we were SOL.
Oh my God. So, I mean, it was a Christmas miracle, y'all.
Yeah. So
it was a Christmas miracle. Jordan went everywhere looking for this magical penguin.
I walk into Home Goods, and they have, those areas of all the cookies and sweets and whatnot. And there is this stack of present boxes that are decorated to look like a penguin.
Like a penguin!
In a winter hat with earmuffs on, and the top layer was cookies, and there was chocolate covered something, and then different cookies on the bottom. There's 3 layers.
So it wasn't exactly what she asked for.
But it was freaking close.
But it was so close and amazing, and oh, holy hell. I was so relieved. So anyway, never.
Santa delivered. He delivered.
Right, and you didn't even get credit for that bullshit.
Right.
She probably doesn't even remember that thing. You better believe we saved it, though, because it was the funniest Christmas shopping experience we've ever had.
So, Lene, here's the question that every non-Jew gets asked. When did you find out Santa wasn't real?
Oh, man. I remember it so vividly. I was in Walmart with my stepmother, and I think I was probably slightly too old to still believe, and I probably had my doubts, but my parents had done a really good job of keeping the magic alive, and I still believed. And we were standing in line, and my stepmom picked something up, and she goes, oh, this would be great in the stockings from Santa. And she looks at me and goes, you don't believe in Santa, right? And I was like, no, of course I don't believe in Santa. No, I don't believe in Santa. And in my mind, I was like, no.
Oh, no. Crushed.
Yeah, so I just never mentioned it again.
That's
I never
awful.
talked about it because, like I said, in our family, if you don't believe, you don't receive. So I hope to God my mom doesn't listen to this episode.
You still believe, though. I still believe, too.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know when it was spoiled for me, but I found out today through Facebook that I spoiled it for both my cousins. And they've told me this before. I have no recollection of this. I must have been 10 or 11 at the time.
You're such a dick.
And evidently, they had come to my grandparents to spend the night for the first time when they're 5. And I told them, yeah, it's not real. I mean, look who's getting you the gifts and look who's receiving the gifts. And
you're such a dick.
I was really smart. I wanted to prove to them how intelligent I was.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I ruined the magic.
Childhood. One of the best stories I've ever heard about parents getting revenge on their kids when their kids are trying to figure out if Santa's real or not, and like sticking it to them. So this kid, he thinks Santa's not real. He's pretty sure. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a recorder under the couch and I'm going to record everything. Well, he trusted his grandpa enough to confide in him. So, of course, his grandpa calls his parents and tells them what's going on. Well, next morning he gets up, he comes downstairs. Not only is the recorder gone, but there are no presents under the tree. There's just a note in the Christmas tree that says, if you don't believe, you don't receive.
Oh, that's amazing.
Grandpa snitched.
And they got off real light that year.
Oh, man. I hope they saved those receipts.
That's like a bonus.
So some people think that you should not let your kids believe in Santa.
Why?
Because it's lying. You're lying to your kids.
You're creating magic for your kids.
I'm not saying that's how I feel. We do
You
Santa.
are creating a childhood. Like, why would you want to rob your kid of the ability to be a child and do these things that we all experienced, that we all had fun with? And yes, they'll find out eventually that it's not real, but keep that magic alive as long as you can.
I think some of it is selfishness too. Like, we all know that we enjoy so much that magical moment when they see the stuff from Santa.
Oh,
They're all excited. Like, we get just as much of a high from that as they do.
Right.
So whatever. I who cares if she finds out we're liars?
We can lie to our children. They're our children. If we mess them up, they're ours, and it's our responsibility. And that's that, and that is final.
So fuck it. All right, so what about when your kids find out? Or if you are one of those parents that chooses not to lie to your kids, how do you make sure that your kids don't ruin it for other people? And here's why I'm asking.
Why are you asking?
One of my coworkers, I just found out the other day, one of my coworkers got an earful from his daughter's preschool teacher because his little Jewish daughter walked into preschool and announced to all of the mostly Christian kids there that Santa is not real.
No, she did
and
not.
And that's just something that Christian parents tell their kids.
Wow.
I know, it's so messed up.
And oddly enough, today my cousin Danny posted that she did the exact same thing in kindergarten. So your coworker's daughter and my cousin Danny are the exact same person.
I bet this happens a lot.
It's the little Jewish kids. They're ruining it for everybody. I'm so sorry. We do not mean any harm. If it happens, it's completely by accident.
Right. So the moral of the story is, before going to that holiday party at your Jewish friend's home, make sure that they prep their kids not to tell your kids that you lied to them about a fat man coming into your house in the middle of the night.
Or just say, if that Jewish kid tells you anything about Santa, it's bullshit. Don't listen to the Jews. They don't know what they're talking about. That's why they don't have Christmas.
This sounds terrible. This episode is so messed up.
It's okay.
Oh my God. All right, guys. That's it. That's all we got. It's the holidays. We're going to take some time off. We're going to be spending that time listening through our old episodes and making some adjustments and lining up some guests for next season that you should be super psyched about.
Psyched.
And we will start sometime back in January. And in the meantime, stay in touch with us at Bourbon and Babies Podcast, or on our website at bourbonandbabiespodcast.com, or in our parenting Facebook group. That is the best way to stay in touch over the holidays.
Straight up parenting on the rocks. And also, it is the holidays. You're probably going to need some awesome gifts. Right. We have the parenting must-haves on our website, which are awesome ideas for gifts.
That's right.
Grab those things while they're there. Ladies and gentlemen, have some of this delicious eggnog. Sit back, kick up those heels, enjoy your holidays. Happy Christmas Kwanzaa, everybody.
That's right. See you next year. God, I hate it when people say that.
What?
See you next year.
See you next year?
Yeah, because it's like almost the end of the year, and they're like, see you next year.
See you next year.